Hey folks, it's Echo here. I am excited to share all the new features coming to 7 Days to Die Storms Brewing. The world has changed with new biome challenges, deadly storms, and a need to push through the biomes to find the means for survival. New foes have arisen and old enemies have evolved to threaten your progress. But you will also have updated skills and new masteries to aid your journey that will change how you build your character. Let's dive in with the world changes. If you're anything like me and you enjoy skipping the forest biome at the beginning of a run and you just head out to, the snow or other biomes to get better loot, you're going to be in for a little surprise. As you cross the biome threshold, you'll see an indicator on the bottom left telling you how much time you have before the environment starts to take its toll on you. The amount of time that you have will be relative to the biome that you're entering. So for the burnt biome, you're going to have 3 minutes, desert 2 minutes, snow 1 minute, and then finally the wasteland, you will only have 30 seconds before that kicks in. This can be mitigated by unlocking biome badges, which will give you a little bit more time in the next biome. As the clock ticks down, the visual indicators will become more and more pronounced. Once that timer is out, you're going to take 1 damage per second, and this will continue until you escape the biome, take mitigating actions, which I'll talk about in the progression, or there's the other option, but it's a little bit more messy. To survive long term, each biome will have a set of 7 challenges that you'll have to complete to be able to achieve a biome badge. You'll have to do this in order for each of the biomes to progress, and each subsequent level of the biome badge allows you access to the biomes prior. As a quick example, for the burnt forest biome, you'll need to wear any piece of non-primitive armor, harvest 5 mushrooms in the burnt biome, craft yourself a burnt smoothie, and there will be a unique smoothie for each of the biomes. All these can be crafted in your inventory with pretty modest materials. Drinking one of these smoothies will allow you to overcome the challenges of the biome for a limited amount of time to extend your survival there. This will really help you out, as the next challenge is to harvest 500 nitrate powder in the burnt forest biome. The next challenge is to kill 5 burnt zombies, and I should note that you don't have to do these in order, so it's not really next. You'll need to loot 5 containers, and the easiest ones to find are on the ground are going to be the nests or just junk that you see laying about. Finally, you're going to just need to survive for 20 minutes in the burnt forest biome, and you'll do this naturally as you're completing the rest of the challenges. Once your challenges are complete, you'll get an indicator to head to your local trader, and then you'll be able to pick up your biome badge. After you hit complete, you'll get a screen telling you that you've unlocked the biome badge and that it will automatically install into your character screen. With your biome badge in place, you are now immune to most of the negative effects of the burnt biome, with the exception of storms, which we'll get to. So with these changes in place, you might be thinking, what if I just stay in the forest? Well, there's 2 good reasons why you're going to want to leave the forest. The first is that there's a loot cap on each biome. So if you're in the forest biome, your loot stage will be capped at 40, which is equivalent to kind of primitive type items. In the burnt forest, your loot stage cap will move up to 125, which is essentially tier 0s. In the desert, the loot stage will go to 165, which is tier 1. In the snow, it'll jump to 205, which is tier 2. And in the wasteland, there's essentially no cap, and it'll jump up to tier 3. As you unlock biome badges, it will give a modest boost to the loot stage of the previous biome. Beyond the loot cap differences, there's also going to be more of an affinity for certain types of ores and plants to be found in specific biomes. So in the forest, you'll have a higher chance for iron, as well as goldenrod, chrysanthemum, and cotton. In the burnt forest, you'll have potassium nitrate and mushrooms. In the desert, you'll have shale, but you'll also have aloe as well as yucca. In the snow biome, you'll have coal and blueberries. And then finally, in the wasteland, you'll have lead as well as the new resource, radiated mushrooms. Now that you have the basics of biome survival, let's talk about the new storms entering 7 Days to Die. Once you're past day 1 in any biome other than the forest, you can experience a storm. As an indicator, you'll hear the air raid sirens, and then you'll see a message saying storm warning, seek shelter, with a countdown. When the countdown ends, you'll see one last grace period noted in the bottom left of your screen, and once that's over, you're going to start taking damage every 5 seconds. Both the grace period and the damage will be impacted by the biome that you're in. If you have the appropriate biome badge, you can go seek shelter in a building, and if not, you're pretty hosed and just need to flee the biome, because even if you go inside, you're still going to continue to take damage. One of my favorite things about the new storms is that they aren't just generic storms. You saw the flying cinders there in the burnt biome, and as you go to the different biomes, you're going to see that the graphics match the characteristics of the biome. If the storms or the biome progression doesn't sound like your cup of tea, the nice thing is that the Fun Pimps added in options in the basic menu for you to adjust those settings so you can play how you want. With every new update, Navezgane typically gets an overhaul, and this one's no different. They've moved a lot of the tier 5 POIs into the Wasteland. The biome maps have been updated to support support the new progression, and in line with that, they've updated trader locations, which will make them more accessible, similar to our random world gen map. In 2.0, we've got new zombies, updated zombie mechanics, and upgraded zombies. First up, we have a new addition to the snow biome, the Frostclaw. This gigantic blue-eyed yeti has a unique attack. Once it sees you, it will pull a boulder out of the ground and toss it at you wherever you are. The movement and animations are looking really sharp on this one. I also found out very quickly you don't want to go toe-to-toe with these in close combat if you can avoid it, as they definitely hit pretty hard. Fresh to the arid reaches of the desert, we also have the Plague Spitter. Similar to the Frostclaw, the Plague Spitter also has a unique ranged attack. When it sees you, it will rear back and spit out a plague of locusts at you. The locusts can be killed, but they will continue to hover around your head until you do so, while the Plague Spitter closes in. This can quickly become problematic when your attention gets split, you're trying to manage different zombies, the locusts, as well as the Plague Spitter in front of you. And oh my! Zombies can now easily crawl through 1 meter spaces, and this has a lot of implications both for base design as well as POIs. I did a little bit of testing and they can actually squeeze in less than 1 meter space, so you might want to check your old Horde bases before you trust them. That's exactly what I did, so I loaded up my base the Switchback just to see how the fighting position held up against the zombies on just a day 7 Horde, just to keep things simple, and there we go, they popped right on through, and I thought for a second maybe that's a fluke, and then all of them just started jumping right on through. Lesson learned, the old staples won't necessarily work in 2.0. I'm going to be putting together a video covering some of my concepts of how to approach this up above. In terms of POI design, this 1 meter crawl also means that they can put zombies into 1 meter spaces, and additionally they can have triggers to allow multiple zombies to crawl out of the same hole. This means both that we can have some good surprises as well as reduce performance hits by having zombies continuously pour out of different locations without having them all active on the map at one point. In the past, radiated zombies were the top of the food chain, but now we've got 2 new oncomers to the scene. On the left, you can see the new tier of infernal zombies, and on the right, the blue charged zombies. While both variants will have increased health and damage, they also have some additional characteristics. The infernal zombies are going to be more of your tanky zombies. Think of Big Mama, the Hawaiian, Cops, etc. They will do additional block damage, so those are the ones you're going to really want to watch out for on Horde Night. The blue charged zombies are going to be more of your nimble type. Think Arlene, the Party Girl, or Steve. And then you're going to have the largest chunk of zombies, which can be either infernal or charged. Now, the next question you're probably asking yourself is, when are these going to start showing up? Well, before 100 game stage, you won't see them. Once you cross that threshold, there will be a 10% of the selected zombie to be one of the types, whether infernal or charged, which is available. As your game stage increases, so will the percentage chance for the charged and infernal to spawn, going all the way up to 100% at 1500 game stage. One other thing to note is that both of these variants will have updated movement patterns, so you might be in for a few surprises. 2.0 brought a lot of great changes to the attributes and perks in 7 Days to Die. I won't cover everything, but I'll try to hit the highlights. First off, let's start with Perception. On the left side, we got the 1.0 perks, and on the right, the 2.0. Lucky Looter has been removed from Perception and is now in a General Perks tab. On the 2.0 side, you'll see 4 perks that are highlighted in yellow. These are carryover 1.0 perks that previously had less than 5 levels, which have all been updated to have 5 levels now. This will be a common theme that you see in all the 2.0 perks, that they'll all have 5 levels with the exception of the General tab. For some of the perks, it feels like their value was watered down because they got spread from, say, 3 to 5 levels, but for other ones, they added in some nice new benefits for that 4th and 5th level. Moving on, in each of the attributes, you're going to have a mastery. So for Perception Mastery, you're going to have 5 brand new perks. To get access to these, you're going to have level 6 in that attribute to get level 1 of the mastery, 7 to get 2, 8 to get 3, 9 to get 4, and then 10 to get 5. It takes dedication to the attribute, but the payoff is huge. You can see here for Perception, the first 2 levels gives you additional harvesting capabilities, but then we get into combat with spear and rifle primary attacks causing bleed, additional spear power attack when sprinting, and then finally the pinnacle one here, plus 50% damage with rifles. I've never been a rifle fan in 7 Days to Die, but this just might change my mind. So that's your first mastery that we're going to get into. I'll cover all the rest in a minute. Before we go off of Perception, though, I want to talk about Treasure Hunter, because it got a very interesting overhaul. In addition to what this perk did prior, the first 2 levels get plus 50% damage to dirt and plus 100% damage to dirt respectively. That is not just when you're doing buried supplies, that is all the time. And it just continues to get better with the top tier of it adding extra weapons, armor, and rare items to buried chests. So who knows, buried supplies could be the new meta. In the Strength tree, the Heavy Armor and Master Chef perk have been moved over to the General tab. We've got a new skill called Grand Slam, which gives a percentage chance to ragdoll enemies when doing sprinting power attacks with clubs, bats, and sledgehammers. Big and Fast, which increases your attack speed with strength-based weapons, went from 3 to 5 levels. And next we have Pack Mule, which has easily gone from F tier to S tier. In addition to helping you carry more, this has become perhaps the most damage mitigating perk in the game. Each level in a Pack Mule gives you a 10% chance to absorb all damage when hit, up to essentially 50% damage mitigation at level 5. It has no impact to critical injuries like sprains or breaks, but otherwise is probably the best you're going to get for stopping damage. Next, I'm going to skip over Strength Mastery and cover Junk Miner first. This new perk is going to increase your harvesting of mining junk such as cloth and plastic. It'll give you 20% per level up to a total of 100% increase. Now let's jump back up to Strength Mastery. The first level is faster critical injury heal when holding a mining tool. Not that useful. The second one is kind of nice. It gives you an additional way to gather brass. The third level of this isn't really that usable because you're never going to use pickaxes or shovels as weapons because they don't have associated perks with them. But the fourth and fifth levels are amazing. Headshots with clubs or sledgehammers have an additional 50% chance to dismember enemies at level 4. And then finally at level 5, kills with strength-based weapons grant 50% damage resistance for 10 seconds. This combined with Pack Mule would make you an absolute juggernaut. In the Fortitude tree, Well Insulated has been completely removed. Living Off the Land is pushed over to the General tab. Lightning Hands and Rule 1 Cardio have been moved from 3 to 5 levels. There's a new perk called Siphoning Strikes, which is going to pair with the overall Brawler concept. This one will grant you 2 hit points back per melee kill per level. So at level 5, it gives you 10 hit points back per kill. In terms of Fortitude Mastery, the first level is an interesting one. Killing an enemy will instantly stop bleeding injury without using a bandage. The second one will make you immune to further infection for 2 real-world hours after recovering from an infection. Third level gives you a 10% chance to gain silver or gold from zombie kills. That's kind of an interesting one. And then the last 2 levels each give you 50 max health. In Agility, Medium Armor has been moved over to the General tab. Whirlwind and Run and Gun have been moved from 3 levels up to 5. Parkour has been moved from 4 to 5 levels. We have a new perk called Hard Target, and this is yet another damage mitigating perk. When moving, you're going to take 10% less damage per level up to a total of 50% less damage at level 5. Next, we have Agility Mastery, which pairs nicely. The first level of this, leg hits have a 40% chance to instantly cripple enemies. Level 2 is a 20% faster reload with handguns. This is going to be really nice for your heavy handguns like the 44 and the Vulture that have smaller magazine sizes. Next, we have Handguns Cause Bleeding. That is just going to be insane for this tree. At level 4, we have yet another damage mitigator. Every 60 seconds, you get to auto-deflect the first blow that you get hit with. Finally, at level 5, if you have a fully drawn bow shot, it will bypass enemy armor, dealing an additional 25% damage. In the Intellect tree, lockpicking has been removed and put over to the General tab. Calculated Attack has been moved from 3 up to 5 levels, and Daring Adventure from 4 up to 5. And finally, we have Intellect Mastery, which might be your best if you want to rapidly progress. The first level of this isn't that big of a deal, 20% less damage and consume 20% less fuel. The next level though, Level 2 adds 25% chance to find a book, magazine, or schematic and loot. That is huge, and then you pair it with Level 3, which adds 50% chance to gain 2 skill points when reading magazines. Now if we pair this with a nerd outfit, which also gives plus 50% chance to get an extra skill point, you are now guaranteed to get 2 skill points for every magazine you read. Level 4 is going to make stun batons only take 2 hits to charge, and then level 5 is stun batons are always charged. This one is going to be absolutely hilarious for just launching zombies around the map in massive crowd control. So I've noted these as we've gone through, but here's your full list of general perks. Technically, light armor is new as we didn't have that in 1.0, we just had medium and heavy. You'll also notice that the general perks have retained whichever levels they had, whether it's 3, 4, or 5 levels. If you want more details on the perks, old and new, I'm going to be doing a full breakdown and tier ranking of all of them that you can see linked up above. The Sledgehammer now has its own book series called Sledge Saga. Here's all the volumes in the series, but I want to focus on a few key ones. Number 3, power attack kills weaken and slow nearby enemies for 10 seconds. This is going to give you additional staying power in the thick of combat. Number 4, adds 25% more damage to enemies below 30%, helping you finish them off. Number 5, gain double XP Sledgehammer headshot kills. This one will massively accelerate your progression as it's almost impossible to miss with headshot kills with a sledge. Number 6, adds a 10% chance to knock enemies unconscious, so just take them out of the fight for a bit. And number 7, Sledgehammer power attacks bypass 50% of armor. And finally, the good old famous refill your stamina on a power attack kill. Overall, this is a huge boost for sledgehammers. Storms Brewing introduces a new cosmetic mechanic so that if you want to wear the nerd armor to get all the good bonuses here, you don't have to look like a nerd. From your character screen next to your picture, you'll have a new cosmetics button to click through, and in this screen you'll have 4 tabs, one for each armor slot. When you start a fresh run, you'll notice that the majority of your cosmetic slots here are grayed out, meaning that they are locked. To unlock a new cosmetic option, you simply need to go and scrap a piece of armor of the type that you would like to use. Now that you've scrapped all the biker gear, you can come back into the cosmetic window here, and you'll notice that the biker gear is now unlocked, so we can put our biker helmet. And actually we can just say apply set if we click one, and it will do the whole thing. Alternatively, you could go one piece at a time. Now we are able to run around as a badass biker with all the benefits of the nerd armor. Next, we have a number of environmental and graphical updates. Some of these are things we've been long waiting for. The first of which, you'll notice that the trees in the forest are more spread out and that you'll see plants and things like that in little patches here and there. It just gives it more of an organic feel. Also, you'll notice across all the biomes that the tree models have gotten an overhaul. In general, with this update, those who enjoy the outdoors are going to find a lot more to explore. There are just shy of 100 new Wilderness POIs, and they span from caves to all kinds of other little tucked away hidden gems. And probably my favorite part about all of these is that they had unique level design, things that I had never seen before. You'll see some updates to the burnt forest. The idea is that this is years after the bomb had gone off, and so the forest is starting to regrow itself, so you see these little patches of green growing throughout. Another nice shift that you'll see both in the burnt forest as well as the wasteland. Previously you'd have houses and POIs that felt like they were just kind of plopped randomly on the map. Now they have connecting roads that lead up to them all into these really neat little burnt out places like this that just feel like more logical remnants of the bombing. One really nice quality of life thing in the wasteland is that they have removed the mass quantity of cinder blocks so that you can drive a little bit more safely here. Hey you got any of those brown paper bags? I'm so friggin' hungry. I need a brown paper bag. Just kidding. We've got hobo stew here has been redone. A number of the foods are now in actual graphical format when they're in your hand. So here's steak and potatoes. The number of the drinks are updated. So we've got yucca juice, we've got goldenrod tea, red tea, water. And then moving on from there, the cans all got a redo. So here is what your can of tuna looks like. Then we have our can of sham. You can see kind of the ingredients and the health stuff on the back. Here's a can of miso soup that you can check out. But there are some that weren't completely redone. So you're going to see some instances like the blueberry pie that's going to show up as this little parcel. So we got a number of things fixed in terms of what our food items look like, so you don't always have to, chew on a brown paper bag. Additionally, there's animations that go with these, so if I'm eating my hobo stew, I kind of make it to my mouth. I mostly smear it on my chest, but it's a lot better than we were at before. These all look nice and good. So for the cans, when you go to eat them, you will also see there's a new animation. You'll pop the can open and then pour the can down your gullet. They've got shiny new icons for all the cans, as well as most of the drinks in the game. And then finally, we have updated animations for both the stores, including the painkillers and the vitamins and the antibiotics. You can say bye to the old quest markers. We've got these fancy new ones that look like makeshift mechanical beacons. Each type of quest will have an associated flag with it. And then the other really nice thing is if you're playing multiplayer and you have more than one player that has a quest for that POI, it'll show all the different flags for the types of quests that are available for that group. With every update, we get a handful of new POIs, and this one is no different. Based on my quick counts, it looks like we have right around 25 new questable POIs, but the real story here is the 150-ish non-questable POIs. You'll see these in the form of wilderness fillers and remnants and all kinds of other pieces that make the world feel a little bit more real, so look forward to adventures in a lot of new locations. Speaking of looking forward, I am thrilled to jump into these 2 new tier 5s I'm going to show off here. Here's hybrid mining. This thing is humongous. Also, for both of these 2 tier 5s, these would make excellent base takeovers for a massive compound, especially in a multiplayer type setup if you were willing to sacrifice a tier 5 POI just to have a huge head start. The second tier 5 we have to show off is Korea Rockworks. Much like the hybrid mining POI, this one is extremely extensive. It's got, I think, 3 or 4 different tiered layers to it, all of which have different doors and entrances. It looks like some of the pathing goes along the mineral processing lanes, but overall this looks like an extremely challenging and fun POI, and I think much like hybrid mining, it's got huge potential for base takeover, but you gotta be pretty ambitious. Finally, let's talk about some multiplayer enhancements for crossplay. The first update here brings back memories of my first experience with 7 Days to Die, and that was that I was playing with a bunch of friends in a LAN day, and we spawned across the world, and we spent the first 2 or 3 hours of the game dying just trying to get to each other. Now when you join on to a server or someone's game, you will have the option of spawning near a player, making it much easier to get started. As of 2.0, 7 Days to Die will have Discord integration across all platforms. You can link your Discord account, send and receive messages, invite friends, and chat either in global or party channels without ever leaving the game. Additionally, you'll be able to see your friends' in-game status and manage both Discord and game friends directly from the UI. Lastly, in multiplayer, the Fun Pimps have crossplay on dedicated servers working on all platforms and have passed the first round of certification. If certification approvals go well, we hope to see dedicated crossplay servers on stable release. In terms of performance, 2.0 really surprised me. You can check out the patch notes for all the changes made, but I'm going to focus on my experience. It's always hard to compare performance across different rigs, and I'm running a high-end setup, but I can tell you that even on my PC in the past, I have struggled in the city and especially during Horde night. 1.0 was a solid jump up, but this is the first time that I've really seen 60 frames per second with the settings cranked up, and to the point that honestly, I hadn't even turned on the FPS meter until recording this because all my recording thus far, I haven't had an issue with frames. Along those lines, I have to give credit to the Fun Pimps, as this has been the most stable experimental that I've seen. After 2 playthroughs to day 10 and about 500 gigs of footage to make this video, I've had no crashes and no major bugs. Hey folks, it's Echo here. I'm excited for Storms Brewing and can't wait to see how you all take on the new challenges in front of us. I've got a ton of content deep diving into all the stuff we talked about in this video, so follow along, drop a sub and stuff like that. As always, a huge thanks to these amazing supporters over here. I will see everyone in the streams and the videos to come. See you soon. Cheers.